You're actually live this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're here now. I
Yeah,
did
but I'm
it.
gonna pretend like we're not live yet.
I did
Just
it.
because
It's
just
there.
because you deserve to be punished for doing the countdown so weird, man.
That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. Good. Me neither.
Good. Good. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care either. That's why I'm punishing you. It's how much I care. Yeah.
All right. Hey.
Eh?
Well, even Baka knows we're live. Baka even put it in the chat. See?
Yeah, I know. Baka knows more than I do.
Baka is an incredible Minecraft builder.
Oh.
Let me just say that. Those of you who have not been a part of the Minecraft server, the Black Static and Swerve Minecraft server, oh my gosh. If you can find his houses, which there are many of them.
Oh, he has multiple houses?
Yeah,
Dang.
I think he's up to 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to spend some time with him on the server at one point in time, maybe a couple of times, and yeah, we've always had a good time.
Nice.
He's awesome. So
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. I'll start the show now.
oh, we're doing a show. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, 6. No.
Oh, 6? Well, wow. You're quick, man.
He puts his buck.
He puts his buck into it.
Yes, he does.
That's great. That's great. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever issues you're going through in life. We're here to give some advice, but mostly just be some kind of support, give a little bit of perception, give some stories about our lives, and be a friend.
Mhm.
You know, most of the time you guys know how to solve your own problems or can figure it out yourself, but having a little bump, you know, a little push from a friend can help a lot. Sometimes it can clear your mind just to talk about it a little bit or to get someone else's perception. So yeah, that's what we're here to do. We aren't professional psychologists or anything along those lines. So don't sue us if your life gets worse. It's not our fault. We're only trying to make it better. That's what we're here to do. We're trying to make your lives better. But if they get worse, it's not because we're trying to make it better. You know, it's just some weird consequence of life, you know. So don't sue us, please. And then also, if you'd like to be a part of the show, we'd love to have you. Just feel free to put your thoughts in the chat. You know, one thing that's awesome about this community is you guys help each other out. Not only is it us up here trying to, you know, tell you our experiences about, you know, different issues, but you guys help each other out too. I see it in the chat all the time, people giving their perceptions, people giving their own stories, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So this community is amazing, and we don't judge each other here, and I think that's really awesome. I think you go to a lot of other communities and you see a lot of, you know, negative input or people making fun of each other, and I've never even seen that here once, and we're on our like 700th show.
Yeah, something like that. There's
I
been
don't
a
know how
lot.
many. Yeah.
A lot of shows.
Yeah, it's amazing. But if you have anything you want us to talk about, anything on your mind, anything you'd like us to cover, feel free to write it in the chat. Feel free to write your topic. Also, if you want, you can put it in right on the forums where we read them from. That's you can click the link that Prince has already put for us. It's at bss.studio. You can send us an email to remain anonymous at dww@bss.studio. Or I guess contact us on one of our various Discords. That will work as well. But yeah, with that out of the way, how you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Good.
Me and Detective here. We're having a splendid evening.
You and Detective.
Yep. I mean, he's right here. He's hanging out with me. Yep.
Nice.
He's a good-looking guy. Look at him.
Yeah, he reminds me of a particularly not good-looking guy, but he looks good.
He's good.
Nah,
he's
the
plushy. He's plushy and soft.
Yeah,
he's got long blonde hair. He doesn't have a beard though. So
Weird.
probably since he's a plushie, he looks like he's about 17, but in a non-plush form, he probably look like he's about 13.
Technically, he has a beard. I mean, he is very fuzzy around the chin
you know,
area
that's
and
very
the rest
true.
Of the face.
That is very true.
Yeah.
He looks much more. He's much more fuzzy than the next plush that's coming out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
That's him stroking his chin. Hmm. This is him scratching the back of his head. Never mind.
Nice.
His hyphens are too tiny.
Oh, I should do the announcement. We are having a sale at the store at bss.studio. All of this, the plush, there's Criminal Idol flash drive, there's CDs from the Criminal Idol series, there's the book from the Criminal Idol series, all that stuff. We are on. Oh, Princess put it in the chat. There it is. Coupon code 21 for January of 2021 because we're so excited about 2021 being here. 21% off.
21% off, guys.
Your whole order. You just got to put in the coupon code 21 when you check out.
Wait till 2099, guys. It's gonna be good. 99% off.
99% off everything. We're
Uh-huh.
clearing it out. We're paying you to
Uh-huh.
take it literally because we don't charge for shipping.
Mhm. My gosh.
Yep. Oh, Vanna V caught it. Next what? Next plushie.
Oh yeah. There's another plushie coming.
There's another plushie coming. It is in development right now.
It is in development.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's cool. You
Yep.
guys are going to like it.
You guys are gonna like it.
I promise.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna tell what it is yet. Nope.
We
Not gonna
can't
tell
we
it.
can't talk about what it is. We can just say it's there.
But
We
it's
looked at
coming.
it. We looked
Mhm.
at it. We made some grand decisions on
Reviewed it and said, "That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. This could be better. Fix it." Except for less aggressive.
Yep. I don't know. I didn't write the email. Who did? Kyle write the email? Probably.
I don't know. Kyle did, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if he was rude in his email.
Uh-huh.
A box plush, a Hanukkah plush. Hey, you know what?
Both of those would be great.
They would be. They would be. I'm not saying that. It's not like I'm saying that it's them
Or
But-
anything.
or anything.
It's not like I'm saying it's them or anything. I actually really like the idea. I think in Criminal Idol Season 2, if we do a plush for that, we got to do a box plush.
We do for sure.
Hmm.
Yep, and it comes in a box.
And it comes in a box.
Yep, you get a box
Mhm.
plush in a
Not bad.
box, so you get 2 boxes. For the
Yeah,
pri-
2
for the
boxes,
price of one.
box. Wow, it's like good. That's a good deal.
Yes. Pear, it's your birthday. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Pear.
Man,
Also,
oh
Happy
man.
New Year, everybody.
Oh yeah. I got
Yeah.
so excited about the sale for 2021. I forgot to say Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. And welcome to
Nice.
your next year of existence, Pear Kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday. I hope you're doing well. Guess we have. Okay, you got you've got a rifle.
Criminal Idol Season 1 book.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
totally.
That's way better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And because you can't go out to a restaurant now because of, COVID and stuff, you need to get the restaurant happy birthday song. Happy birthday. It's my day. It's your birthday and we can party too. Hey, something like that.
Happy,
'Cause they all
happy
come-
birthday from all of us to you. Happy, happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. Hey.
Hey.
I like how you ended it, Joe. That was my favorite. My favorite part was after you ended it, you said something. Happy birthday. Hey, something. I love that there's just a
Well,
little
'cause you-
something at the end. Just a
'cause
little
you
something
know-
extra.
Everybody when they come filing out of the back, for when they're clapping their hands and they're all look so excited. They're all like,
Yeah.
hey, and then you get the free dessert.
Hmm.
You ever had the free dessert? It's like whipped cream in a bowl.
Really?
Yeah, it's the free dessert.
That's funny. No, I don't know where you can get that from, but I've never actually been anywhere for my birthday and gotten all of that treatment, which I'm very glad. The only person that likes that is a friend that watches it and goes, man, yeah, I know that feeling. I'm glad I'm not the one being celebrated here, and it is fantastic to see you suffer. It is fantastic to see you suffer.
Yeah. My youngest son gets angry if we have him sing to him at the restaurant.
See?
He doesn't like it.
The only one person likes it. It's the friend that wants the friend to suffer.
Yeah. Jono, welcome, and see you later.
All right.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Why don't we get the show on the road?
We should do that.
All right. So, thanks for everybody for being here. You guys are amazing. We hope we have an awesome time today. I'm going to go through the list, and if you are here, make sure you write something in the chat so that we know you're here. We've got Sevlev, SK, Awkward, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Sparrow, Amira, Random, Man Left Behind, Tori, and Baka. I can see we have Baka here. Did we have Tori here earlier? I'm not sure.
Good question.
Maybe not. Nope. Okay. Well,
Baka is present.
Sure, we've got Baka. Oh, Royal's here, but well, we actually finally did Royals, so
we did. That's right.
Yep. I can't do that one. All right. Well, let's do Baka.
All right. Let's do it, man. It'll be good.
Baka Breaker. His topic is titled "Fear of Failing in a Tournament." Yeah. Cool. Well, Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
This year has just been, out of all the strange, my favorite sport was American football, and now I have no interest in it at all. But the lack of interest of one sport has boosted my interest in another, bowling. I joined my high school bowling team, and I've enjoyed every part of it. But in this section tournament, I missed an easy fill on the 10th frame. I failed to get the remaining pins, and that made me mad, and that I let my team down. We have another tournament coming up this month, and I'm getting nervous that I'll fail them again. How do I get rid of these feelings? From Baka.
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, whenever you go through something, you know, I've been a part of tournaments before and things like that, and when you fail, it stinks because it's like, man, not only did I fail, I failed more than just myself. Like other people suffer because of this, right? And everyone saw it. And so there's all of that compounds on top of each other that can add to that anxiousness, that fear, that like, oh geez, I've got all of this nervousness about the sport now. I don't know if I can bowl well anymore. You know, you get all of that pressure on you. And a lot of the pressure is just caused by your own self, right? So it can be really difficult to I don't know, rewire your brain so that you can perform well and not worry so much and not be so nervous. Because it's true that your nerves can really get to you and make you perform worse, you know? And no one wants that, right? And that stinks. I remember hearing many people, you know, they take the stage and they're going to go to sing. And because they're nervous, their voice is really shaky, you know? And it's like, ooh, yeah, that, like you could tell, and it just totally messes up the performance. So I can relate to this. I think that a lot of us have gotten nervous performing, whether it be a sport or anything, you know, anything that we can feel pressure in making sure we don't fail. Because when it comes to ourselves and failing ourselves, it can weigh on us. But then when it's like I've got my whole team riding on my back, you know, as well, that's a whole nother thing, right? So I'd like to hear what Joe has to say about this, and yeah, hopefully we can help ease your mind.
Well, none of us are immune to failure. That is for sure. And none of us are immune to letting other people down. We do that. You know, I mean, I can't even count how many times I've let people down, you know, those around me, whether even on the staff at BSS, you know, things, goals that I've set that I haven't hit, you know, all kinds of stuff. And, you know, with my family, I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff. But there's one particular story that sticks out in my mind. I remember being a kid, and I was on a basketball team, and this was great. Like, man, I think I was in middle school, and I was playing basketball, and I'm not very good at basketball at all. In fact, I'm quite terrible at basketball. But this one, I rebounded the ball, I dribbled down, and I shot it, and I made it. And it was a 3-pointer. It was one of those where I was just like running, and I was off to the side, and I just like jumped, and I like just threw it up in the air, and it went in the basket. And it was a 3-pointer. And I looked down, and one of the guys on the other team started cheering for me. And then another guy on the other team started cheering for me. And they're like, "Thank you."
No way.
Because I shot it in the wrong bucket. It was just after halftime, and so we had switched sides, right?
Mm.
And I wasn't super paying attention, I guess, and I shot it into the wrong basket. I was so excited. I had made a basket because first of all, I never got the ball from anybody, and after that, you think I got the ball
they didn't
very
try
much,
to stop you.
right? Right, exactly.
Just let him go.
Yep. So the rest of my team, they looked at me, you know, they pulled me off, you know, like I didn't get to play much more that night. And then ever since that, nobody ever wanted to pass it to me. I never played basketball again. But I remember that situation, and I remember feeling, it was weird because at first I was so excited for making a basket, for getting the ball, for one, and then making a basket. And then all those hopes and dreams and everything were just dashed when it was the wrong basket. And I was like, ah. And then, you know, then I was on the swim team, you know, and I can remember, you know, not doing well in certain races. I got to the point where I did pretty good, but then some swim meets, it was just not quite enough, you know? And so, yeah, it's something we deal with. And so, I don't know. I mean, how do we get rid of those feelings? I think with the understanding that for me, the way I've gotten rid of the bad feelings and the nervous feelings, it took me a long time to get to this point. But finally just being able to admit to myself that, hey, you know what? I've screwed up before. I'll probably screw up again at some point. And you know what? That's part of being human. And I have to say that to myself all the time. And, you know, I don't know how many of you guys have heard me say this before, but I've got my kids programmed that, you know, basically I'll ask them, hey, what's your dad good at? And they'll answer me, messing things up. And I'm like, that's right. I'm good at messing it up. That's what I'm the best at. We all got to be good at something. And I'm good at messing it up. And the reason I have them understand that is because I don't want them to think I'm perfect, for one. And I also want them to understand it's okay to make mistakes. That's part of the human experience, right? Because that's how we learn. And now when we're involved with other people, when we're on a team situation like this, of course, there's a little bit more gravity to the situation because, you know, there are other people directly involved with our success or failure. And so it can dig a little bit deeper. But, man, to just understand that, you know, hey, we're human. We mess things up. Michael Jordan, there's a great poster. Somebody, I'm sure you guys have heard it. He talks about how many times he's been entrusted to take the game-winning shot and missed, you know, and all kinds of stuff. And he says, I fail again and again and again, and that's how I succeed. And that's how any of us succeed, is we fail over and over and over and over and over again. The cool thing is it's just a game. It's not like it's, a life or death type of situation, but we still want to do our best. So, one thing you can do is you can go practice. I used to do that. I used to, when I would screw up, I would bury myself in practicing, and I would just work at it and work at it, work at it. And then I would have more confidence in my abilities when I went back out there. And then sometimes the feelings would subside. However, it never really got to that point. It never fully got to that point until I was able to admit to myself, I might screw up. I've screwed up before. I'll probably screw up again sometime, and that's okay, because that's part of the human experience. And I'm sorry if I let you down, but from my kids, when I do something wrong and I'm there with, and we're hanging out and doing stuff and I mess something up there, and I can just now say, well, are you surprised? No. Because what's Dad good at? Messing things up. That's right. That's okay. Because we're all going to do that. You have teammates that are going to do that too. So think in terms, that's another thing you can think about too. Sometimes we are the worst critic of ourselves. I know I am, for sure. Because if somebody else screws up in my presence, I do whatever I can to be gracious of them. I'll tell this story. Jesse's not here. He isn't producing the show tonight, but I'll never forget. When you go to bss.studio, that's the second version of this website we've had. Because I will never forget the first version. I remember it was super exciting. We had it up and everything, and it was going. It looked a lot like it does now. It looks a little bit better. There's a little bit more awesome artwork on there, thanks to Swilk, and we've got a lot more people on there, thanks to all of you guys. But we had an earlier version of that website, and I'll never forget getting a phone call one day. I'm in my car driving, and Jesse called me, and he goes, "Hey, Joe," and I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "So I think I screwed something up." I'm like, "What's that?" He said, "I just deleted the website." And I'm like, "Really?" like deleted? He's like, "Yeah, it's gone." I'm like, "It's not backed up or anything?" He's like, "Nope, it's gone." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I remember in deep down inside, I'm like, well, that really stinks. But at the same time, there was a time when we didn't have a website before, and it got built and we have a website. Now we're in that position of not having a website again. Okay, well, I guess we get to start over. We get to learn some stuff. And now, hopefully we've done a better job of backing things up, because that's how we've learned and, evolved and grown through this experience. But that's how you take a bad experience and you make it good. Another time I remember I was doing yes, Steve remembers. I remember that. Bye-bye website, all gone. Yep, it was all gone. We're like, dang it. I was in sales one time at a musical instrument store, and I was on commission. So anytime I would make a sale, it would boost my income, which was awesome. And I remember taking this phone order for a tenor saxophone, brand new tenor saxophone. They're expensive. So I was going to get a decent amount of commission on this, and it was going to be great. And so this person did this order over the phone, had me ship it to California, all this stuff. And then they paid with a credit card over the phone, and the credit card had a different mailing address, and there were red flags popping up all over the place, right? The order went through, and it turned out that it was a fraudulent order. But I had already shipped it. I had already sent it. It was gone. By the time we figured out that there was a fraud situation going on here, somebody had stolen somebody else's credit card, bought this instrument, and then afterward, then the person refused payment, but I had already shipped it and sent it to the person. It was gone. And the store didn't get paid for it. And I remember the company president coming to me. And he was like, so wow, this happened. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, so am I fired? He's like, heck no, you're not fired. I just spent like $5,000 training you.
Brilliant.
And I was like, I guess that's one way to look at it. He's like, I don't imagine you're going to do that again. And I was like, no, no, sir. And he said, so let's make that investment worth it. And that's where, when we can take our mistakes and we can use them as a learning experience, you take that event where you didn't get the remaining pins and you can think, okay, why did I mess that up? Was there something in my technique that was wrong? Was there something in my, and sometimes there's not much we can analyze, but a lot of times there's a way that we can train our thinking through our mistakes. And that's how you take a failure moment and turn it into a success through making it a learning experience. So I'm proud of you for failing, Baka. Because you know what? That's how we learn. From success, not so much. But through failing, that's how we win. So anyway, I've already talked for a while. Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you. So,
all right. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for starting us off. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like what you said. And I like the stories that you told there. It's kind of funny, I don't think I've ever had a performance in my life. And I've been through a lot of performances. I don't think I've had a single one where I didn't mess something up. Like, I've performed with the school band, I don't know, 3 times or 4 times a year. Actually, then I was also in jazz band, performed like twice a year for that. So all the way from like middle school to end of high school. So I have all of those performances. I don't know how many that is, but it's a lot. And not a single one of them did I do flawlessly. Sometimes there are little mistakes, sometimes there are big mistakes. Let me tell you about a big mistake. It was awesome. It was probably my favorite mistake I've ever made in my life. I went to go do, we were in marching band. So we did this thing called Expo. And basically Expo is a bunch of schools from Michigan around where we live would go to one football stadium, and we would do our marching shows in front of the other schools, right? And so a bunch of schools would show up and we would all do our marching gigs. And then at the end, it wasn't really judged. There was no real clear winner. There wasn't a point system or anything, but you did get like honorary mentions in the newspaper and things like that, which was cool. So it was mostly done out of spirit, out of showing each other, hey, this is what we're doing. And it's really cool. So we show up at Expo, and this year, I actually got a saxophone solo. I was to stand in front of everybody at a certain point during our marching positions and all of the songs. We did like 5 songs or whatever. At some point during, I would walk to the front of the field with one other person. He played the trumpet and I played the saxophone, and we were doing what's the name of that? The Pink Panther song. If you guys know the Pink Panther song, da-dun, 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 ba-da-dun. That song, right? And so I walk up. Well, here's the issue. We get there to the performance site, and I can't find my instrument. This is hours away. We drove on a bus for like an hour and a half or something. And we get there, and I was like, I cannot find my instrument for the life of me. I'm looking around the bus. I'm looking around where they pull out all the instruments and stuff like that. And I go to the teacher and I'm like, here's the deal. And I'm really sorry. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that solo because I don't have an instrument. I cannot find it. And he's like, and this is Matt Bishop, you know him.
Oh, yes.
He's like, you forgot your instrument. Yes. Wow.
I can see his
Okay.
face.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, well, you're still doing the march. You can just, and I'm like, okay. He's like, just walk around like you're playing it. I'm like, okay. What about the solo part? And he's like, yep, that too. And I'm like, okay. So I march everything. All like 5 songs or however, maybe it was only 4. I don't know. Just standing there like I'm playing something with nothing in my hands. And it comes time to do my solo. I go up there. I told the trumpeter, I don't know. I told the person who plays the trumpet, like, hey, you're gonna have to do both our parts because I didn't bring my instrument. And he's like, yeah, all right, no problem. I got it. It's easy enough. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I march up there, standing right next to him, holding no instrument. I pretend like I'm playing my part. And then I bust down into the robot. I totally just do the robot in front of like thousands of people. Like just, I've never even done the robot before, but I hope it was good. And I danced there for like the 15 seconds that we're up there, and then we both go march back to our spots, and I do the rest of the gig. About 2 weeks later, we get a newspaper article written about us, and I had made it into the paper. Just me. They said the show was so good, and their favorite part was the Pink Panther, where someone did the robot. And I'm like, wow, you know, way to take a failure and turn it into a win. Like that was so funny. It was so amazing. Mr. Bishop, he actually, you know, he's like, you pulled it off. Good job. I'm like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that you told me I had to go in there. Because when he said that, he was like, yeah, you're going to do the whole thing. And I'm like, that's humiliating. I'm like, everyone's going to see me without it. And they're going to look at me and be like, what's that kid doing? Did he forget his instrument? No one noticed. They just thought the whole thing was planned. They were like, that was a brilliant performance. I was like, it was an accident. So, yeah. One of my favorite stories ever. And that comes from a major failure on my part. I have a whole performance to do, and I've forgotten the main part, the instrument with which I'm performing. So now I know that in a sport, right, you're counted by points and stuff like that. So you're like, if I fail my shot, there's no redeeming it, right? There's no way to just be like, fake it and be like, do the robot after you do a shot and then be like, now I look cool. No,
or I meant to do
like,
that or something. I meant to miss.
Yeah, I meant to miss. Yeah. But understanding that me, a person who is an entertainer, for a profession, I've never done a performance where I've done it perfectly, ever. And one of my favorite performances ever was when I failed the biggest. And in life, you're going to continue to fail pretty much like consistently. It's the only thing you can be promised to do consistently is that you will fail sometimes and you will succeed sometimes, and you will be doing both back and forth. With every shot that you get to fire off bowling, and most of them, I don't think that most of them will be failures, but every one of them has a chance to fail. Everyone has a chance to succeed. And all you can do is play the game. Here's the important part. You're playing. You're up there and you're playing. You're throwing the ball, right? And that's the important part. You know, when you get afraid of something and you choose to stop doing it, that's the biggest failure of all, right? Because now you're no longer a part of it. Now you don't get to experience it. You don't get to put that into your life, right? So quitting, it's like you don't have you don't truly fail until you quit, basically. As long as you're continuing to keep your momentum, keep on taking the shots, right? That's a success, because there is no success story without failure stories.
Mm-hmm.
No really good success story without failure stories, right?
Very true.
And so don't stress the here's the thing. Don't stress the failures, right? Don't make them bigger than they are. I think that we often look at our failures and make them way bigger than they are. Like they're more important than they actually are. Because the truth is, they are important, but only that we took the shot. They're the same amount of importance as any other shot. It's just, if we look at them and we go like, oh man, I feel terrible and all that kind of stuff because you messed up, it's like your consistency with yourself will kind of fall apart, right? And then that's what you experience. You experience inconsistency with your shot. You experience inconsistencies with your attitude, right? The thing is, you should have a good consistency with your attitude and how you feel about the game and things like that, regardless of your failures or your successes, right? You should just play your best. Period, right? Because that's all you can do. You can only play your best. So as long as you're just playing your best out there, you're making your best shots, right? To the best of your ability. Something's going to go wrong. That's expected, always. As long as you're doing your best shots, you can't do any more than that. You can't do anything except for add to stress, and you don't want to stress yourself out. It's not helpful, right? So when you feel like the team is riding on your back, the best thing you can do is be charismatic and help lead the team, right? And you can do that while failing. The best leaders in the world, they failed many times, and sometimes they lead their team the wrong way. But the best ones recognize it and they go, you know what? Hey guys, I'm sorry. And I will take the blame for that. It's my fault. And I'm also going to take the first step into moving in the right direction. That's what a good leader does, right? That's what a good team member does. They recognize like, hey, I failed here, but I'm not going to allow that to stop us. Why would my failure stop you guys? That's like penalizing them for your own failure, right? You don't want to do that. So whenever you fail a shot, remember that way of thinking. Because if you fail a shot and you allow your emotions to kind of like start to make the team feel bad, right? If like you fail a shot and you just look down and it rips the soul out of everybody else, right? Because you've ever been, I'm sure you probably experienced this before, Baka. You ever go into a room and people are just like distraught or they're sad or something? You walk into the room and immediately it just kind of takes over the atmosphere. You're like the life is being sucked out of you. Maybe you're at the dinner table, right? And someone brings up an issue and it's sad, or maybe it's stressful, or it's confrontational. And suddenly the mood changes for everybody. One person stubs their toe in the room and they're like, oh, it hurts so much. And now your good attitude, you're like having a good time. All of a sudden, it's gone. You don't get to have a good attitude anymore because that person got hurt because that person stubbed their toe, right? And they made it vocal, right? If that same person stubs their toe and they're not like, oh, and they're angry and stuff, they stub their toe and they're just like, ow. Anyways, moving on, right? Or they make a joke about it. If they make fun of themselves or if they have a good time, even though they're in pain, what happens to the room? What happens to everybody else? Everybody else has a good time, right? So if you allow your failures to change your attitude, you could suck the soul, suck the attitude out of everybody else and force them to have a bad day, a bad game because you had a bad time, right? You don't want to do that, right? So just keep in mind, you're going to fail and that's okay. That is 100% okay because all the professionals fail. So it's normal. It happens. It's okay. When it happens, don't let it get you down. Because you don't want it to let it get your team down, right? Because that's what will happen. That's what happens. I've seen it before. One person misses a shot and they're like, oh, and then the rest of the team's like, oh man, this game stinks, And then for the rest of the game, they're like their bodies are drooping rather than feeling full of energy and pumped. Like I've seen teams where they're just like, where's the energy? Where's the hype? You know, it, and then they just fall apart and they don't win. And then they blame it on that one shot. And it's like, that's appropriate. It was that one shot, but you guys let it get to you. You know, you can't let that happen. You gotta, whenever reality is something that you don't like, then you got to step yourself up to overcome it, not just go, oh, I don't like that, and therefore I don't like life anymore. You know, I think a lot of times that's how we experience. Like when something happens in life, we're like, oh, I don't like that outcome. Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, that was a big failure, and we let that triumph over us. We've already lost, right? But if we see that and we go, yep, that's what happened. I'm gonna make sure I fix that, or I'm gonna make sure my next shot is a lot better than that. Or, hey, that's just a bump in the road. I got this. We can do this. Keep on going. If you pump yourself up over it, now you've just created a bump in the road to kind of like give you a little bit more speed and air, you know? So how you see it, how you perceive it, your attitude about your failures can change the whole performance, can change the whole game, can change the attitude for your entire team. So it's super important that when you fail, because you're going to. So when you fail, make sure your attitude is on point. That's the main thing, I think. Because just like Joe said, like I'm sorry, but it's just going to happen. It's not because you're worse than anybody. It's just because you are human.
Right. It's going to happen to everybody else too.
It's going to happen to everybody else too, right? Yep, absolutely true. You know, you guys got second place anyways, right? Even though you had that shot, right?
Yeah.
You know, your other team members, they had shots that weren't perfect, but you still got second, which means all the other teams also had a lot more shots that weren't as good in total, right?
Yep.
So everybody experiences issues, right? When they go to make their shots. So just hang in there. Go at it and expect to fail, but expect to have your attitude on point and keep your teammates on point too with theirs. But you said I have anger issues. I just have a hard time not showing it. Okay. After that bull, I walked back mad, and my teammates told me later that I thought he was gonna punch him. Oh no! Oh no! He looks so mad. Oh geez. Yeah. Yeah. Try not to get mad. I understand. You know, sometimes games can be frustrating. Sometimes they don't work out the way it's like the game just cheated me. That was not supposed to happen. How the heck did that happen? That was like that the game broke. That didn't make any sense. Gravity just failed me. Like what just happened? You know, and we can get frustrated and angry. I totally get it. But when that happens, I think it's important to remember to just cool your head. Say, you know what? It's not that important. What's important is my attitude. So let's fix that. Because if my attitude fails here, the rest of my game, the rest of my day, the rest of my life could be terrible. So let's get that on point. But anyways, back to you, Joe.
I love what you were saying because that's so true. We do impact the people around us with our attitude and our reactions and our responses. Now, this isn't, you know, I'm not saying this so you beat yourself up about, oh, man, well, I was mad. And so now, because, man, I've experienced that so many times where I've had a bad race or something like that. And, you know, and I've had the frustrating moment and, you know, like, and I've let it show. It's very interesting. Like the results, you know, this is one thing that really struck me after I found this out, because really the results are outside of our control, especially in a competitive sport. And I didn't learn this until I was done doing competitive sports, and I read a book by a coach of a basketball team where he was like, you know, his whole philosophy was, you know, I have my team play against themselves. The scoreboard up there on the scoreboard against the other team, that is secondary. Like that's going to happen, you know, that's the way it is, whatever, right? The question is, did my team leave it all out on the court? Did they play their hardest? Did they try their hardest? And did they do their best? Were they better than they were in the previous game? Did they try harder? Did they, you know, did they make adjustments and become a better player? during that game, right? And so, and I remember in swimming, I didn't really realize I was doing it, but I think it was because when I was a senior year, I was a captain. There were 3 captains on my swim team when I was a senior, and I was one of them. And I was the least talented swimmer of the 3 captains. I was the guy. I was a distance freestyler, so I did long distance races. Nobody else wanted to do those, right? And I was all right at it. I got into a rhythm, when I was swimming, and I could just go, I'd let myself get into a rhythm and be consistent the whole time and just go. And so they appreciated that, and that's what I got to swim in, right? But the other 2 captains were way better swimmers than me. Way better. They were faster, they were more flashy, they swam harder strokes, and they won more races and contributed to the team way more as far as points, because swim meets are, they're scored on a point system based on, what place you get and all that kind of stuff, right? So they scored way more points that season. And there were juniors and sophomores that scored way more points than me that season. But it's interesting, because but I was still in the position of a team captain. And so I was like, I knew this going into the year. I'm like, man, I'm looking at our swim team, and I'm like, there are so many swimmers that have been swimming like from the time they were little kids, and they're so good. Even freshmen. There was a freshman on the team who was like, he ended up being a state champion and then going on to college and being, like a national level competitor and everything like that, right? And so like he was fantastic. And I couldn't even hold a candle to these guys. But I couldn't control that. There were 2 things that I could control. And they ended up paying off the way they were supposed to. Now, I didn't plan on this. Well, one of them I planned on, because they have awards at the end of the season where they're like, okay, there were 3 awards they gave out at the end of every season. One was MVP, so whoever was the best swimmer on the team for the season. Another was most improved, so like whoever started, like shaky and then got better the entire season, right? And the third was 110%. Who worked their guts out. Now, I had gotten the most improved award a couple years before because I stunk. I was a walk-on when I was a freshman. Most of these people have been swimming, like I said, from the time they were little kids. I just decided I'd walk on the team. And my sophomore year, I really showed great improvement. I got that award that year. And so my senior year, when I was a captain, I was like, you know what? I am not getting MVP. I've already gotten the most improved. I'm not going to get that again. But you know what? I can work. I can try my hardest at every practice. I can show up and I can work my guts out. And that was the only thing I had that could actually make me feel justified in being a captain, because the other 2 guys were so much better swimmers than me. It's like, you know what? I can justify my position here by working my guts out. And I did. Every practice, I would work, and I would swim my hardest, and I would try, and people saw it. Those awards are voted by the team, not by the coach. The teammates vote those awards. And I ended up getting voted that award. But more importantly than that was, okay, so I understood that's something I can control. I can't control how good I am. I can't control how many races I win because these guys are so much better than me. I don't have that level of skill and talent. But I can work. And the other thing was I was a captain, so I was a senior, and I had all these underclassmen, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. I can cheer them on. In fact, it's my duty to do that. And so I did. So I would scream and yell. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a swim meet, but it's crazy. Like, like they start the race and then like the whole crowd is just going nuts. Everybody's screaming and yelling and thinking that the swimmer can actually hear them, which they can't. the swimmer, all they hear is of water rushing by their head, right? But meanwhile, everybody's just
That's why they have to scream
screaming
so
and
loud.
yelling. Oh yeah, I know, it's crazy. My coach could whistle like a piercing whistle. You could actually hear the coach's whistle. Like that, but that was about it. But every time you took a breath, you could see your teammates like on the side of the pool, like, you know, whatever. And so I would do that. Princess says sometimes they can, just depends on the stroke. That's true. If you're doing the breaststroke, every time you come up for a breath, yes, you can hear it. And so it's funny because breaststroke, you can tell who they're cheering for because the cheering is rhythmic with their breathing. So every time they pop up for a breath, you hear, ha! Then, ha! Ha!
That's amazing, dude.
But yeah, so at any rate, those are things we can control. We can't control the results. I can't control if somebody totally smokes me in the pool. I can't control if I go up against, you know, a national champion and they just, you know, wipe the pool with my face, so to speak, you know, like whatever. But I could control how hard I worked, and I could control how much of an encourager I was. And the more rewarding of those two things was being the encourager, because I made connections with my younger teammates. You know, they looked up to me. Not just because I was a senior, but because I encouraged them, because I cheered them on. And I got to be really good friends with those people. And that was the key. The key wasn't that I worked hard. I mean, I might have inspired some people to work harder, you know, at practice by them watching my, you know, example. But the more important was the encouragement. And so if you're on a team, yes, you can practice. You can work hard and you can try hard. But more importantly is the impact you have on the people around you. Because it's not just your points. Like Ryan was saying, your points, that even though that was the last frame where you had the chance to take first instead of second, all those points, it was a cumulative effect of everybody's performance that won first place or second place. It wasn't just you. And so since it's a team effort, the best thing you can do is cheer on your team. Your points are a small percentage, but if you can encourage and empower your teammates to do well, and it makes a difference for them, then your entire score as a team is going to be way higher. So now I have done that same thing you did before, where I've had a poor performance and I've been mad and I sulked and I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I just was like, leave me alone. You know, and I had my angry face on and everything. You know, I've been there. And sometimes we have that emotional response, and it's natural. But how fast can you snap yourself out of it so you can get to the more important part of encouraging your teammates and cheering them on? You will endear your teammates to you, especially if you're brand new to something. If you're brand new to a sport or a game or whatever, if you can get good at cheering on your teammates, they will love having you around, regardless of your skill level, because you will bring the whole team up through you encouraging and inspiring them. So I just, you know, when you were talking about that, Ryan, it totally made me think about that. And I was like, that is so much of a more important thing. I mean, yeah, having a high performing person, having somebody who's good at what they do and you know, winning those game-winning moments and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's great. But more importantly is the guy who's lifting up the whole team so everybody performs better at a higher level because of the encouragement coming from that person, that cheerleader person on the team. So anyway, that's all I had. Ryan, I'm sorry. I know I've gone quite a long time.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And thanks for saying that. You know, one thing about Joe is that Joe is incredibly hard worker. And everybody at BSS knows that about him. And everybody he's worked for knows that about him. But he's also an amazing encourager. I think that's like one of the most attractive aspects I remember about Joe, meeting him for the first time and meeting him many times after that, was his ability to just encourage people, to edify people, to lift people up. That's such a fantastic skill. And the thing is, at the end of the day, right, you have your score. How many points belong to you because you're the encourager, right? Because without you, they might not have felt the, willing to practice when they practice. Without you, they might not have been, you know, feeling up for it that day, right? But you came along and you made their day for them, right? And so they worked harder. They did better, right? They performed better because you were there helping them along, right? And so it's important to keep that in mind, that, of course you're a team and you know that you're a team, but when you experience this experience of like when you fail or something, the world that you immediately see is a world where you're the center of it, right? Because all you can think about is yourself and your own failure, and you're just like, oh. And then you think, oh, I just lost it for our whole team. It's my fault. And you have to kind of stop that, because at that moment when you experience that, you have to go like, wait a minute, hold up. Did I just say it's my fault that the team scored what they scored? Of course not. Everybody's participating. It does matter what I did. My score does matter. But if I take it off of myself and all I think about is how do I encourage my team from here, then at least your failure is counting towards something, right? At least you're still participating, you're still helping out, if you take it and you just put it all on yourself, I think it's, I don't know, it's looking at the game the wrong way, because it's a team, so I don't know. I just really appreciate what Joe had to say. And I think that he's a great example of someone who works really hard, gives 110%, but also encourages everybody else and kind of makes everybody else want to do the same. Whenever you watch someone work really hard towards something, it makes you kind of want to work hard too. I remember watching a lot of, this is weird, but like idol animes, which is, yeah, of course I've got Criminal Idol. But I remember watching idol animes specifically on purpose because I know that will fuel and inspire me. Not because the music's good. Not because I see them up there dancing. But because those animes are written by people who want to portray people who are working really hard at something. They're portraying like, hey, these girls are trying to make it in the industry, and it's in like industry that's impossible to make it in. Let's watch their journey. Let's watch them struggle and try super hard, because that pumps me up. And I'm like, yeah, I remember like there are many times where I click play on the episode and I get 3/4 of the way through it and I'm like, pause, I gotta go do something. like, and then I just start working on music and then I'm like, oh, I should have never finished that episode. Then I'll go finish it later. But like when I see someone working hard, it inspires me to work hard too. So, anyways, I think that what Joe was saying is fantastic, and is a welcome for you to do the same. But anyway,
it's more fun when you work hard too. By the way,
it is.
Just so you know,
really
it's
is.
not as much fun when you slough off. I've been in both positions where I've worked really hard, and in the positions where I was like, I'm just gonna take it easy. I have way more fun when I work hard because I'm into it. Then I'm in it. And I'm invested in it, and it's way more. There's more energy going, and it's a lot more fun. When you're just like, well, I'm just gonna try and get by, then that's boring, and it's not nearly as much fun. So,
yeah, I used to play a game called Dagger Here. It's a game where you hit each other with foam swords and stuff. And
That's
I was
always
coming in
fun.
as a newbie.
Bam.
Yeah. I was coming in with a newbie, and lots of other people were there for many years. They've been playing it, and I remember I just went there and I would play my heart out. And while everyone would take a break, there's like, you'd be there for the whole day, but you'd take 2 or 3 breaks where everyone's just like chilling, eating food. And I would never stop. And I would find someone to spar with. I'd be like, hey, what are you doing right now? Let's go spar, And I'm not the kind of person that is I'm not the outgoing kind of person. But when it comes to something that I can invest myself in, I invest all out, right? And it was really rewarding. It was a lot more fun. And I improved like really fast. A lot of the other people that came in with me kind of just weren't able to keep up just because I had put so much time into it whenever I was there, and I always gave my all. I was never like, by give my all, I mean I was the one doing somersaults and like running everywhere I went. Whereas a lot of other people were just standing still, attacking with their swords while not moving a whole lot. I would give my 100%, because it felt way better. But anyways, let's move on. Thank you so much for the topic, Bucket Breaker, and I hope that some of that's helpful. Hope that's encouraging. I know that we gave it quite amount of time, but I think it's one of those things that relates to everybody. Whether you're doing a sport, working on your career, or just playing video games or whatever. You have pressures, and I think we can all relate to it. So, thank you so much for the topic. All right. See you guys later. I see Royal's leaving, and that's all cool. Have a good one, man.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna read through the list again. If anybody's here from this list, please let us know. And if not, we'll see what we can cover. There might have been one in the chat. So, oh, okay. Tori might be here. So, okay, we got Sevlev, SK, Pika, Jesse, Con Vulcan, Sparrow, Amira, Random, Man Left Behind, and Tori. If any of you guys are here, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to get to your topic.
Hi, Tori.
Oh, cool. Hoi, I'm Tori. I like the addition of the A though too, Toria. Do you put the emphasis on the O or the I? Is it Toria or Toria?
Oh, that's a good question.
I just figured out that's probably the best way to ask people how to pronounce their names. Where do you put the emphasis? Or emphases if there's more than one. Maybe it's Toria.
Emphases, he says.
Now, the T is silent.
I sailed the emphases.
And the R is pronounced like a G. Okay. I think that so it's Toria.
Toria. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So Princess just gave a link to your topic.
She did, and so now I'm gonna click it.
And you're gonna copy it, and you're gonna paste it in the chat, aren't you?
I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in case you didn't see it, there's a link again.
Click Princess. This is
all right.
better.
This is if you want to read along, please click that and feel free to do so. This one's from Toria. It's titled "A Deep-Seated Phobia," and Princess will do the honors of reading it for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've had a phobia of plants since I was little. It stems from a traumatic childhood memory I had. I can't touch plants without screaming or freaking out. I wasn't able to hold a bouquet of flowers at prom. People around me laugh when I bring it up because it's such a silly thing to fear. Or worse, they will try to bring a leaf or something near me for comedy. I'm also autistic, and even being around plants can upset me. Hence why I don't go outside in rural or green areas very often. Do you have any tips for overcoming phobias? I'm sorry if this is weird or too niche. From Toria.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. It can be hard to share sometimes because, especially if it's something like, people make fun of you about it and stuff like that. So, I've never heard of this phobia before. So it is pretty niche. And, I know a lot of people with a lot of different phobias. I used to have some phobias myself, and I was luckily able to get over all of them, at least that I've encountered so far. But yeah, I mean, it's rough when people do that to you for comedy, and that's hard. And doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it, easier to deal with. It actually just kind of adds to it, makes it even harder because now you've got both a social fear of it as well as as the phobia is itself. So that can be really hard, and I get it. So hopefully Joe might have some experience in this area as well, and I'm looking forward to see what he's got to say about it.
Phobias are difficult. In fact, I am I'm kind of claustrophobic. Not I'm not really afraid of the space being enclosed, but if it's a small enclosed space, that freaks me right out. Like in fact, I can remember my brother when I was a kid. He used to. Oh, I forgot. Did I not start this? There we go. Okay. I had to do that. Make sure it was up on the screen. The topic.
Got it.
I was like, I thought I did that, but apparently not. But now it's there. My brother used to put a blanket over me and then jump on me. That would freak me right out. Because then I can't see the outside. I feel completely covered. Now it's just a blanket. It's not like it's a wall or a room or anything like that, right? And it's not like it's in my face, so it's suffocating me. But I remember feeling so trapped in there. And
I remember getting zipped up in a sleeping bag upside down where I couldn't reach the zipper. And
Really?
it scared the crap out of me as a child. And the
that
zipper's on the outside.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, yeah. And
You're
then
totally
I
at
got
the
sat
mercy of
on.
everybody. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I totally relate, dude. It was freaky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but there are phobias out there. I remember there was a movie called Arachnophobia. You know, the fear of spiders. You know, there have been all kinds of there's lots of phobias. Princess has named it botanophobia, the often irrational fear of plants. So it has a name, so it's real. Like you are not the only person.
You're not the only one.
Right. Exactly. Princess has the needle phobia or trypanophobia. Hopefully, I don't know if I said trypanophobia. I have a phobia of needles too. I hate when I have to have blood drawn. I can't stand that. And yeah, so any tips for overcoming phobias? There are a few things you can try. And I don't know. Yeah, there are a couple things. One, you can try to talk logically to yourself. Having Ryan's brother Kyle around for that is very great because he's so good at just logically. I will get myself all worked up about something. And with one sentence, he will just cut through the whole emotional garbage that I'm spewing with one logical statement and neutralize the whole thing. Because it'd just be like, oh, this is why this doesn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I don't have to freak out about it anymore, right? So that's one thing, and I remember learning that through I can't remember. I heard somebody say it in a talk where, we make decisions emotionally, right? But we maintain those decisions with logic. Like, because if it doesn't make sense, then it wouldn't stand up to logic. And so you can try and have this conversation with yourself with this situation if you want. And that is, what is it that I'm afraid of? What is it about a plant that I'm afraid of? And you can kind of dig down into it and logically. And sometimes the answer is, I don't know. I just am afraid of this. And I can't get past it. And like, like the fear of small enclosed spaces like that, there's not really any danger. I should be able to just relax in a little box and be just fine because I'm not going anywhere. But, it's the fear of not being able to see what's going on around me. There's all kinds of stuff. So I can kind of explain why I'm there. And then I can ask myself the questions, okay, well, why am I afraid of that? And then I can answer it to myself. And if I have found that if I get good at asking the question why to myself a bunch of times, I can really get to the bottom of what the issue is. And then I can deal with that core thing. And that sometimes unravels the rest of it, right? If I get to that core issue of, okay, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of enclosed spaces because my brother used to throw blankets on me and sit on me as a kid. And then I can deal with that. Well, nobody's sitting on me. Okay, so that's okay. And, it's not really, I'm not suffocating, I'm whatever. But then there'd always be like this fear of, I remember watching this video of this guy who got himself trapped trying to get into a cave. He had found a little crack and he was trying to get into this cave system thing, like not a Minecraft cave system, but a real life one. And they had this cross-section drawing of him and how his body was, and he was stuck in this crack in the earth and he could not get out. And it was like, oh my gosh, I like to be trapped like that would be just so scary for me. I remember tensing up and going crazy. But, that's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I will avoid those situations. And in this, like, okay, so you avoid plants. You avoid being around them. You don't go outside in the rural areas very often because of the plants that are around there. I understand. And you're right. It might not make much sense. But it doesn't really have to. So that's one thing you can do. You can ask why, and you can get to a logical core of the situation. Another thing you can do is laugh at it. You can try, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But there have been times when I've been afraid of something, and when I laughed at it, it got smaller. I had to force myself. It was kind of like a forced laugh, like, and then, but, when I laughed at that, it wasn't as big and scary anymore. Toria says part of the fear is that they grow on their own and they just kind of creep up. I can't explain it very well, though. I totally understand. One thing that's interesting, I have a pet peeve. This isn't really a fear or a phobia, but it's a pet peeve and it really bothers me. It's disorganized silverware drawers. Like when you open a silverware drawer and there's like 15 different brands or kinds of silverware in there and they don't stack on each other, they should match and they should stack. That's how silverware should be in a drawer. It should not have big, huge, bulbous handles and be all just thrown around in the drawer. That's one of the things. Like it bothers me, and I don't know why. Like it shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. And so I'm trying to get over it. Pray for me. But
God,
anyway,
please help Joe with the silverware problem. Amen.
Yes. So, but one of the things, I mean, but I can laugh about it and it makes it a little less of a big deal, so those are some things you can try, but that's kind of what I got to get started. I'm looking forward to hearing what Ryan has to say. So Ryan, what do you got?
All right. Yeah, thanks, Joe. I think we can all relate. We've all been afraid of something before, and there's all this part of us that knows, like, hey, that's irrational. Like, there's no reason for us to be afraid of it. It doesn't make sense. There are a lot of other people who aren't afraid of it. So, something wrong with me, right? And I think we've all been there. I remember as a kid, right, being afraid of the dark, thinking there's an alligator under my bed that would bite me if I didn't get into bed fast enough. Like, that's silly, right? I knew it was silly at the time, and yet it still forced me to, like, when I turned off the lights at night, I'd jump into bed like scared. Even though I knew that didn't make sense, So what do you do, right? Here's what I did. I was afraid of the dark. I used to be afraid of spiders. I was claustrophobic at a time. like Joe. And I had a couple other fears. Mostly what I did was this. I gave myself a challenge. I said, Ryan, when you're afraid of something, you look weak. You show weakness. Because when I see people out there and they're not afraid, they look so strong.
Mm.
You know, when I looked at my brother and he wasn't afraid of the dark, I looked at him and I was like, man, he's brave. He can go into the basement with no lights on and he's not even afraid. He's not even running. He's just walking like it's normal, man. He's so brave. He could be in a tight space and he's fine, you know? And I looked at people who are not afraid of things. I remember watching this girl grab a spider and put it on her hand and let it walk around. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. She is so brave. And so when I looked at myself, I was like, I feel weak. I feel weak that I can't do those things and other people can. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the person that, you know, I don't know. I want to be the person that people say, are you afraid of anything? And I'll say, no, I'm not afraid of nothing. You know, I'm not reckless. Yeah, I'm not going to go take a car and try to get it 200 miles an hour and jump off a bridge. Like I'm not insane. I'm not reckless. Right. But I don't want to be afraid of things that I shouldn't be afraid of. Right. Because I know there's a lot of things that won't hurt me. You know, for spiders, what I did was I looked them up online. And I said, you know, tell me about spiders. First of all, my mom always had me kill them. And I didn't like doing that. I don't like killing spiders. I remember one time I gave myself trauma because my mom told me to kill this spider and she gave me a pool stick. And it was up against the wall.
Well, how are you going to kill a spider with a pool stick?
And so I took this pool stick and I went, and I could feel the exoskeleton of the spider collapse and vibrate through the pole onto my fingers. And I was like, oh, I am never, ever, ever, ever killing a spider ever again in my entire life, ever. That was traumatizing. Because I could feel myself taking the spider's life away. And I had no right to do so. I was like, that spider was minding its own business, and I came over there and just killed it. No, it's not alive anymore. And I could feel I just could feel it in my fingers, and it just touched me in such a way that I was like, I can't kill spiders anymore. That's not right. That's not okay. So I don't kill spiders anymore. I save them. If someone tries to kill a spider, I will stop them and I will save that spider.
Mm-hmm. He does too. He's like, are you planning on eating that?
Yeah, you kill it, you eat it.
Then you can't kill it. If you're not planning on eating it, there's no killing it.
That's right. That's my rule. Most people don't eat bugs, so it works pretty well. What if you do eat it? Then I'm fine with it. At least you're using it. Hey,
you know,
go for it.
Bugs are all right. You know, I ate crickets in wilderness survival class in college. That was one of the classes I took in college.
Yeah,
it was great.
yeah. It was one of your favorite classes, wasn't it?
It was awesome.
You guys ate crickets. I mean, that's adventurous, right?
Yep. Now they were fried in butter, so they tasted like popcorn with legs and antennae and stuff.
That's awesome. Eating a few grasshoppers and ants in your day. Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
So, anyways, continuing on. So what I did is I went online and I looked up. I was like, tell me about spiders, you know? And I looked them up and I found out that most spiders can't kill you. And in fact, the amount of spider deaths per year is incredibly low. Hippopotamuses kill more humans than spiders. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I should be afraid of hippopotamuses.
Yeah. There is no spider that can kill you as long as you go to the doctor and say, hey, I got bit by a spider. And they go, oh, okay, we'll fix it. And that's why there's so low death rate is like, even if you do get bit by like a recluse or a black widow, you just go to the hospital and you show them and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll take care of that. And that's comforting, right? To know, hey, you know what? there's already a system in place that I can, if I do get bit, I'll be fine. Um,
Here's a question
and
though. Did the hippopotamus have noodles on its back?
I hope not. Maybe that's why it kills people. Some people are putting noodles on the backs of hippopotamus. No wonder. I don't know the reference.
Okay, never mind then. It's a really old YouTube video.
Oh, okay. I might have seen it. You know what? If you show me the video, I might be like, oh, I remember it now.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that helped me to understand, like, okay, spiders aren't that bad. The second thing that helped me. So first thing that helped me, I suppose, is wanting to not be afraid of it, right? The second thing is looking it up. The third thing is getting interested in them and defending them. Like, because I ran into a lot of other people that were afraid of spiders. And I was like, oh, there's no reason to be afraid of spiders. Suddenly, I'm on their side. I'm on the spiders' side. I'm on the spiders' side, right? And I'm trying to find out, why are they cool? What makes them really beautiful? What makes them unique? Because a lot of people don't like them. And that they're actually really cool. And you can do that with plants too, even if it's like the plants that people don't like poison ivy. No one likes poison ivy. No one goes, oh, I love poison ivy. It's the coolest. You could find an attraction and defend it and be like, no, poison ivy is the coolest plant. Let me tell you why. If you can look up plants, maybe at first see if you can find it without the images, but maybe find some images, right? Look up plants and figure out why you like them. Figure out something that makes them interesting and makes you want to know more about them. Something that interests you, something that makes you more attached to them in a pleasing way rather than a negative way. With the darkness, right? I used to be afraid of the dark. Now I love the dark, right? I grew an enjoyment towards the dark. I grew a sense of courage and a sense of strength when I was able to remain in the dark. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine in the dark. And now I live in the dark almost 24/7. You see lights on me right now, but I turn those off and then it's just the computer light, right? And if I could turn the computer lights off and still do my work, I would, because my eyes are sensitive. I've got blue eyes and they feel better when they're resting in the dark, And so I'm like, I wish I could close my eyes. There are many times where I walk down the street. Like I would walk in a straight line down the sidewalks, like after school or whatever, with just my eyes closed, because it's a lot more relaxing and I just enjoy the dark. But I used to be afraid of it. So find ways.
I like driving like that.
Oh yeah, driving with your eyes closed is the best. Don't do that, guys. Of course not. Okay. So anyways, if you can find a way to connect with it, a way to enjoy them, a way that makes you think, oh, this is an interesting thing, your brain will start to come around and stop being so afraid of them. And instead it will be more curious about them and it will open up and want to touch them. Does that make sense? If it were me, if I was afraid of plants, I get that it's difficult. But if it were me, I would be like, okay, I want to be strong. I want to be a kind of person that other people can look up to, right? I want other people to look up to me. I want other people to look at me and go, wow, that person took a lot of courage. I'm proud of them, right? Because then I'll be proud of myself too. I want to be proud of myself. I want to be proud of who I am. I'm not proud of myself when I have to admit that I'm scared of something. I'm proud of myself when I go, I used to be scared of that and I'm not anymore, because I got myself together. I forced myself to do something, or I studied up on it or whatever, and I'm no longer afraid of it. And now that makes me proud of myself, right? So I would take that mindset and I would start simple, maybe looking up something online. Maybe I would go out and try to find a dead leaf or on the ground, or maybe a living leaf and pluck it from a plant and go, I'm gonna do it. I'll raise myself up and just in the silence, no one looking, whatever. Maybe someone is looking, but it doesn't really matter. Just try to find the courage to grab onto a leaf and go, no matter how I feel at that moment, just hold on for dear life and just go, I can stay here and I can hold this. It's not hurting me. It's fine. And until I calm myself and I can go, okay, you know what? I did that and it was okay. 20 minutes I was able to hold on to that leaf. Okay, that's a long time. 20 seconds. I was able to hold on to that leaf for 20 seconds. That's pretty good. You know, that's a good start. Maybe, you know, grab a leaf and start counting, see how far you can get. Stuff like that can help you, you know, take steps. And don't expect to have a huge step. Don't expect to go like learn something and then all of a sudden the fear's gone. It's probably much like everything else. You take little steps and you fail a couple of those, but you keep on taking little steps, and slowly over time, you get better at it and better at it until it's natural, right? I mean, that's how you learn to play any instrument. That's how you learn to play any sport. That's how you learn to speak. That's how we learn to walk when we are little, right? We just take a few steps and we fail the first time and the second time and the third time. And we fail many times along the way. If you think about yourself, you can't really because you probably don't remember. But when you learn to walk, maybe you can think about someone else that you know who learned to walk. You can see babies don't know how to stand up. They can't even stand up, so they can't even walk yet.
Yeah, they're terrible.
And so then they have to learn how to stand up.
They're really bad.
And learning how to stand up is a huge issue. Like, they have to hold on to things. If they let go of anything, they just fall on their butt. It's a good thing they're wearing a big diaper. And they got big butts.
Yeah. Well, and what do we do when they fall? We cheer.
Yeah. We're like, yay,
Hey,
good job. Right? We encourage them. And you have to encourage yourself, right? When you, even if you fail, the fact that you even stepped outside your house to go, like, let's say you go, you're like, I'm going to touch that leaf. I know there's a leaf out there somewhere outside my house. I'm walking out my door and I'm going to go touch it. And let's say you get out your front doorstep and you're like, nope, I'm turning around. The fact is, you took a step. You should be proud of yourself that you even tried. Cheer yourself on and be like, you know what? I got farther than I did yesterday, because yesterday I didn't even try. Tomorrow, we'll see how, maybe I can take a couple steps towards that tree, you know? And maybe you'll get all the way face to face with the tree in your first try. And you'll be like, you won't touch it, but you're at least looking at it, you know? Things like that. So expect to fail a few times, and that's okay. But you gotta start taking those steps before anything will change. So don't be mad at yourself. You know, I think a lot of times we get mad at ourselves for how we are, but we can't change that. That's just who we are at the moment. All we can do is start working on it. You know, there are many things, many fears that people have, many personalities people have, many ways that people are, maybe they're not very good at socializing. Maybe they're not very good at laundry or cooking or whatever, right? And they just like, that's the way I am. That's the way, you know, that's just who I am. And that's fine. It is okay that that's the way you are. But start working on it. And that's okay. You can work on it and get better, right? I know a lot of people who were terrible at their people skills. And you would think that person will never learn. But you know what? They did. Whether it was through reading self-help books, being around the right kind of people, talking to themselves and going, wait a minute, why don't I have this figured out yet? Let's start working on this, you know, and talking themselves through it, you know, being taught by someone else. You know, a lot of times the issues we're just not taught people skills in school or anything. We just go through life and they expect us to know it. And we're like, I am terrible at this. I used to be terrible at people skills. So no one ever taught me, you know, but you learn along the way. And also the only way you can learn is by trying. So Toria, I think that, you know what, all you have to do is start taking those baby steps and reassure yourself. And you know what, it's okay where you are right now. It's okay. It's okay. Don't criticize yourself. Where you are, it's fine. That's just where you are. All you can do is move up, is move forward. That's the only thing. It's like, or you can continue the way you are, and that's, you know, that's fine too. But it sounds to me like you want to get over it. So I would suggest maybe taking a few of the steps that we recommended. But anyways, I'm going to give it back over to Joe in case he's got anything else he wants to add.
Well, I love what you were talking about, and taking those baby steps is so important. You know, I mean, even it's like one of the big things that a lot of people struggle with is finances, right? A lot of people aren't very good with money, and part of our culture is, like, it kind of gears us to be bad at money because of all kind of stuff, right? But there's a really successful financial program. A guy named Dave Ramsey put it together, and the core thing in his financial program and getting out of debt and getting on a good financial footing is called his baby steps. Because that's what they are. They're baby steps, and they're really just small, achievable things. And it's like, okay, you take the first step, and once you get that done, you move to the next step. And once you get that done, you move to the next step. And once you get that done, you move to the next step. And so it's always broken down to, okay, what step are you on? And that's so important, because if you can bring things into, with whatever you're trying to overcome, bring it into some kind of a baby step type of program. Jeff Mosier, another staff member at Black Static and Swerve, him and I have had many, many conversations, going through different goals and different things we were trying to get past. And it's like, okay, when we're trying to get over something, it's like, okay, how can we make this a low enough bar that we can get over it, but it's still challenging enough so it's going to make us do something, right? So, that's where you try and find those steps in there. Because if it's too difficult, you're not going to even try, or you're going to try and you're going to get frustrated and you're eventually going to give up. If it's too small, you didn't have to try hard, then, it's not really worth it. But when you find that little medium, it's like, okay, something simple enough and small enough that I can jump over it easily. Now I have a little bit more confidence, right? I did that. Good. So that's another key. If you get down on yourself because you're not as far as, like for Ryan, for instance, with his brother in the dark. If Ryan were to beat himself up because his brother's so much better at being in the dark than he is, that's not going to be a good situation, right? He's not going to
want to try harder.
Right. It's not going to help him move forward. Right. Exactly. So if he has a little bit of a victory, then we need to be like in our head. We might even physically out loud, we can do it, but be like cheering on that kid that just tried to stand up and fell over. Like, celebrate that. Celebrate the fact that you took a step. Celebrate the fact that, you went outside for a little bit and you hung out around the grass. You were whatever it was that you got close to. Or maybe, you went to a place where they had, terrariums, and so they have all these plants and little frogs and lizards and stuff in aquarium type things behind glass. Yeah. Exactly. And so you get close to that, and it's like, okay, I got close. I didn't have to touch the glass, or I didn't have to touch the plant because it was behind glass, but I went and I actually put my hand up against it. Maybe it's even that. And whatever it is that's small enough for you to overcome, but it challenges you a little bit, stretches you just a little, and then celebrate that.
Yeah, we grow by stretching. We grow by stretching our muscles out, right? The same thing for our minds. We grow by stretching our minds, and same thing for our abilities and for our fears. So that's a good way to put it.
Yep. So anytime we're dealing with that, small enough that it's achievable, big enough that it stretches. And then when you do it, or when you try it and fail at it, that's still a cause for celebration. Anytime you make an attempt, it's worth celebrating. Especially when you're dealing with a deep phobia like this, because anytime you try, oh my gosh, even if you fail miserably, you fall and you make a mess of yourself and all kinds of stuff, and you cry and all whatever, still worth celebrating because you tried. And that's a step forward. No matter how much it seems like you might have failed, it's still a step forward. And it's beautiful because then you just take those steps forward, boom, 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 boom. And then over time, eventually you end up in a place where it's like, how did I get here? How did I even make this happen? Ryan was talking about people skills. I used to be terrible at people skills. Terrible, especially talking to people that I didn't know. Breaking the ice in a conversation with people I didn't know. And I had to learn about it a lot. I had to talk. I had to read about it. I had to study it. What's the big deal here? And then I had to try things over and over and over again and fail at it a bunch before I finally got to the point where I was comfortable, saying things to people. Excuse me. And I still do that to this day. I make myself say something when I go to the gas station and I talk to the people, like, hey, you having fun in here today? I just ask them that and they'll give me an answer, or I'll try and notice something. Like the other day I was at the gas station and, I was talking to a guy and he had huge gauge, his ear piercings, he had the little plates. They were like this big. They were like an inch big, right? In his ears. And I was like, whoa, dude, that's a pretty big gauge you got there. He's like, yeah, and because that's something he's going to be proud of. That is a commitment.
That is a commitment.
I'm like, and I know a lot of people who just looking at me put off by it and be like, oh, that's good. And maybe, who knows? But I just sat there and I thought about that for a second. I'm like, man, he worked at that to get to that point. That was a time and effort. And, took a bunch of purchases, I'm sure, of different sizes to get him to that point. I mean, that's a commitment of time and money and everything and effort. And so I was like, man, I'm impressed. But so just noticing that kind of things, right? And so one of the coolest things about this situation is you notice this about yourself. Being around plants can upset you. Okay. You notice that about yourself. And you took the courage to ask. Maybe these guys, maybe this good-looking guy with long hair and this bald, weird-looking fella.
You don't have long hair.
Maybe if I ask these guys this question, maybe something will come out that can help. Just the fact that you asked, that's a step forward.
Absolutely.
Because that shows that you're making some kind of an attempt to get over this. And so that in and of itself is a step forward. So I applaud you taking these steps. You're already on your way. Now it's just a moment. Now it's just the next. Okay, now what's next? Maybe I can try one of the things that, Ryan was talking about. Joe, I don't know. He's an idiot. But Ryan, I could try some of the stuff that he's said. but at any rate, you could totally take another step, and I would applaud that effort as well. For sure. So anyway, that's what I have. Ryan, back to you.
Nice.
Don't call Joe an idiot.
Yeah, Joe, don't call Joe an idiot. He's my friend.
He's my friend.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Me and my brother do this thing when someone hurts themselves. We'll just be like, hey, don't do that. That person's my friend. Yeah. No, I think that in life, we're all given our own individual problems. We're all given different problems. Mm-hmm. We're all given different things that we're good at and not good at. Mm-hmm. Right. And no one's really good at anything starting out. We learn to get good at it most of the time. Even prodigies, they're not zero playing the violin. They always have a couple of years before they learn. Mm-hmm. But
why is it always the violin?
Because
it's the violin or the piano.
Yeah, right.
Those are the two violin with the yeah, they got the prodigious.
Yeah, but it's like you don't get well, here's a couple of reasons. One, a prodigy is a young child, so they don't have the lung capacity to be good at a wind instrument. And two, the other instruments aren't as revered. So if you are a prodigy at those, no one recognizes you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, but he plays. It's like, wow, he's the best, but he plays the saxophone. So who cares? Wow, that little kid. Unless it's the tuba. If it was the tuba, people would care. Wow, look at that 4-year-old playing the tuba. It's 4 times his size. Oh, adorable. More than 4, probably. 6 times his size. Anyways, moving on. We all have our own set of problems. We all have our own set of things we have to get good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you watch a story, watch a movie, read a story, whatever, we love the underdog, right? The person who's not good at stuff, right? We can watch how hard they try. When we see someone who's just naturally good at it, we're just like, meh, we don't really care about that character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of applies to how life is in general. I think when you're giving something and you have to work for it, it's a lot more meaningful than when you're already just good at it. So when you encounter your fear of plants, you can take that as your personal struggle, right? And say, this is the thing. This is the thing. This is right now one of the things that I have to learn how to get good at. Don't make it out to be like it's just the failure that is a part of you, because it's not. It's the thing that you get to make a story about. It's that thing that you get to say, I'm going to learn how to, achieve, or to, what's the word? To get over it, I guess. To
conquer it.
To conquer. Thank you. To conquer it, right? Mm-hmm. It's a thing I get to conquer. There's going to be a long list of things you get to conquer in your life. But this is one of them, right? This is one of the things that you get to conquer. And for you, it's a big deal. For other people might not see it because they've never experienced it. They don't understand. They don't get it, right? And that's fine. That's fine. When I see someone who plays basketball and they're amazing and they worked really hard at it, I just go, okay, cool. Because I'm not really into basketball. I've never had to try at basketball, but I can at least appreciate it from the outside perspective of, oh, I've tried really hard at these things and I'm good at them because I worked really hard. Or I've had to overcome myself and these issues, right? Because I wasn't very good at them and I had to learn, right? So look at this not as just this thing where you fail. You're just not normal and you're not good enough. You're not like other people and you're worse. Don't look at it that way, because everybody in the entire world has these type of things they have to figure out by themselves and figure out how to get over. And the only way that they do it is by taking action. We are rewarded through our action. And our action is a beautiful thing, and our action is a rewarding thing. So when you go step outside, even if you only make it to opening your front door and then you close it, you took action, right? So celebrate that. You took action towards moving yourself forward. It's like the best thing you can do in human existence, right? Is move yourself forward, right? When we say, love is a beautiful thing, right? Love is such a beautiful thing. Love is desiring the best for someone, right? That's what love is. It's looking at someone and saying, I want the very best for you, right? Well, the best for them is usually something more than what they are right now. The best for them is them moving forward. The best for them is them taking the right actions, right? And we can love ourselves that way. We can say, I love myself. And the way that you do that, the way that you love yourself, is by taking action towards becoming the best version of yourself, towards becoming a better version of yourself at the least, right? So when we take action to become a better person, we start to feel loved by ourselves. And it's a weird feeling if you've never experienced that. we feel like, oh my gosh, I love myself. I just did something that was loving towards myself and it feels good, right? So it's really rewarding. So don't don't rip yourself away from that when you fail. Don't be like, oh, I tried, but I didn't make it very far. I didn't make as far as I wanted to, right? And then you beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Just accept that you tried and you took action, which means just you should take that and go, that's awesome. That is amazing. The fact that I even tried, right? Um, because it's not about how many times you know, you can't add your failures up, right? Because they're all negative, right? Ultimately, they result in zero. It's because it's usually because they're just kind of like nothing. Your failures don't add up to anything because they're all just plain zero. And if you don't try, it's also a zero, right? But if you make any movement at all, if you move any bit forward, you can add those up because a one step is one, and then another step is another one on that. So you get two, right? Another step, that's three. Another step, four. If you don't step the fourth day or the fifth day, you don't make any steps on that day, that's okay. You're still at 5. You didn't reduce. Don't reduce your score because it was just a 0 that day, and that's fine. And then just keep on adding them up. So I think that's a way better way to look at life. I think a lot of times when we fail, we count it as a negative, but it's not a negative. We just feel bad. But just because we feel bad doesn't mean it is bad. And we have to accept that it's part of reality that, you know, you look at something and you can call it good or bad, right? Some people look at plants and they go, they are beautiful, they're awesome, and I love touching them. Some people look at plants and go, they are scary and I don't like touching them, right? Two different opinions. The human brain is capable of both. And the human brain is capable of changing its opinion. I know people who hate vegetables and now they like vegetables, right? It's a change of taste, a change of mind. So anything in the human brain, the brain is a beautiful thing because it can change its mind. And we should take advantage of that. There are opinions which hurt us. People say opinion, it can't be wrong or right. But I kind of disagree. I think opinions can be wrong and right because an opinion can hurt you. It can lead you down the wrong path. It can make you feel sad when there's no reason to. It can make your attitude worse and make everybody else's attitude around you worse because of an opinion. And I don't think that's good. But there are opinions out there, or you can change your opinion about something and go, you know what? I'm going to change my opinion. I'm going to change my attitude and lead yourself down a better path. Lead yourself down a road where you're enjoying life more. You're eating the fruits of life that are delicious, right? It's like you can see the fruit and you're like, oh, it's so gross. And then you try it and you're like, yeah, I don't like it. But you've already made up your mind before you tried it. Have you ever seen a kid do that? Like I've seen children do that. They're like, I don't like this. And they put it in their mouth and you can tell that they kind of like it a little bit, but like, no, it's terrible. I'm never eating it again. And it's like, you've just closed yourself off from something you could like because you chose that road. It's a bad opinion. I don't think it's a bad idea for you, but kids do it all the time.
They do. And they also do the one where it's like, I don't like that. You've never tried it. Try it. Okay. And then they like,
it's like, you can't even taste it, whatever you just did. What was that? A piece of dust?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You don't even know what it tasted like.
Yeah. Anyways,
like a big old chomper, you know.
Yeah. Some things taste better at, you eat them in big chunks. Some things don't, but some things taste better when you sip them. But anyways, I think life is meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be without it. It's okay for it to be scary. But I think it's meant to be enjoyed at the least. And so if you have an opinion that makes you not enjoy life, I think it's a good time to take a look at it and go, let's start working on that opinion. But anyways, that's all I got. And we're getting kind of close to the end. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to add onto that? Or
Jeho says, I'll try almost any food once. Yep. Here's a challenge. I try well, if I get called out on it, like Vanna, we weren't trying to call you out. If you feel
Oh, I'm
called
sorry,
out,
Vanna.
if you feel called out, hey, I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. But like if I get called out on a food, I have a commitment that I will try any food if it's been 2 years since I've tried it last. And the big one is mushrooms, because everybody knows how much I can't stand mushrooms. And so my kids, they'll be like, "It's been 2 years, Dad." We're like, it
You're
has
like, no,
not.
it
It's
was 2
been,
weeks ago.
yeah, exactly. It's been 2 weeks, not 2 years. It's been 2 years. Eat the shrooms. But hey, that I know that day is coming when I'm gonna try a mushroom again. You know,
Mhm.
and they're gonna make me go to the like maybe they'll have the buffet restaurants open again by that point in time, and like we'll go and there'll be a buffet, and they'll have the big old huge garden big old mushrooms sitting there in whatever sauce they have, and they'll get the biggest one they can find and stick it on my plate. You got to try it. And so next time I should do what
Biggest
they
one.
do I should do what they do and just be like, "Eh," like barely touch it to my lips and like make but I know that ain't
Setting a
gonna
bad
fly.
example.
I know, yeah, I know exactly. But it's not gonna fly. They're gonna be like, "No, you have to eat it." We're like, oh, especially if they're freshly picked. Oh, freshly picked. Well, sautéed,
You,
yes, those are better than raw. That was one year. That was the kind. It was they got a package of the that you get at the store of the salad mushrooms, and they're like the whole white
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
raw.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I had to put one of those whole things in my mouth. That was
Wow. That's
mm,
huge, dude.
mm. I was like, oh, that was so gross.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I honestly, I've said this many times, and I don't say this to like brag or anything. I say it because I hope somebody is finally inspired by this and does and practices this. Because no one will do this. I haven't met anybody else who will try this yet. Um, I don't dislike any food. I like all foods that I've ever eaten
Mm.
because I've trained myself to. I used to dislike radishes, but I took them and I put them on my mouth or put them on in my mouth. Put them in my mouth. I chewed them up and I let them sit on my tongue, even though I didn't like the flavor. And I would let them sit on my tongue until I couldn't taste it. And then I swallowed it and I put another one in my mouth and did the same thing. Swallowed it, did another one in my mouth, same thing. Put it in my mouth, chewed it up until I couldn't, and let it sit on my tongue until I couldn't taste it. And then half an hour went by where I stopped and didn't do anything, and I went back to him and I tried him again. And then I stopped half an hour later, went back, did the same thing. And by the third time, I was like, you know what? These are okay. I can kind of eat them now. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to eat them, but I can eat them now. Hey, they're not so bad, And now I have them in my salad all the time, and they're good. You can saute radishes, and they're fantastic. You can bake radishes with pesto on top of them. Fantastic. But I used to dislike them, and that's true for everything. Anything I've ever disliked, I just take that method and I practice it. Or I train myself to like it, because whether you like something or not, it's in your brain, right? It's in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's your brain looking, tasting it and going, this is bad for you, don't eat it. That's why you have that response, right? That response is kind of programmed into our brain as a warning system, like, hey, this doesn't taste good, it might be bad for you, right? This might, rather it's, hey, this might be bad for you, therefore I'm going to make it not taste good. It's how our brains work. They go, okay, this item, because of the flavors, it's like all human brains, it's like, why would one brain like it and another brain not? It's because our brains have decided, right? Like, oh, this might be poisonous. That's why a lot of people dislike mushrooms, because people are like, this might be poisonous. Therefore, I will choose to give it this sensor, the ew gross
It
sensor,
might just be disgusting.
I'll trigger that one. And yeah. So
You know what, Ryan?
I try to override that, and
I-
I come to like them.
You've inspired me. I'm gonna do that next time I have to try mushrooms. I'm gonna do that.
You're gonna
I'm
do
gonna
it?
chew it up. I'm gonna let it sit in my mouth until I can't taste it anymore.
If you do it, man, I would be so proud of you.
I'll
Because
do it.
no one, I haven't met anybody who, like, I've told hundreds of people, no, okay, not that many, but I've told so many people this, and no one's willing to try it.
You know what I'm not gonna try that with? Ghost
Underwear.
peppers.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Underwear. What?
I wouldn't try it with underwear.
No, me
You kidding me? That's fabric. It's not supposed to taste good. It's not even
Baka says
food.
lemons. Yeah, so stuff that can actually be painful, like a hot pepper.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't try it with something that would probably hurt you. I get that.
Yeah. So, or yeah, like a lemon that it's something that can actually like feel like it's burning your mouth or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, something with strong acid. I can kind of see you not doing it with that.
J-O.
There were, yes, I know, J-Ho. They do make edible undies. I remember seeing them in the store. They're like bubble gum or something.
Uh,
Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
weird.
People are weird. They come up with your products. Yeah.
Yep, it's funny. I don't like steak, but it smells amazing, and I'm sad that I don't like the taste. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does smell amazing. One of the things I find is really common for people is coffee.
Oh, yeah.
They love how it smells, but then, man, when they put it to their lips and they taste it, man, they just can't stand it, and it's gross. So,
Yeah.
But,
I
yeah.
understand that though. It's
Yep.
it's bitter.
It-
I like 100% chocolate, like Baker's chocolate. A lot of people don't like that, but that's the thing too. That's why Vanity tried radishes, because everybody else at the table was eating them and they liked them, and I was like, that's not fair. I want to like them too. Well, let's try to like them. I'm gonna force feed myself until I like them, and it actually worked. I was like, wow, that actually worked, because I tricked my brain into going, hey, this isn't bad for you. It's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. Kind of like a mind over matter thing. And then I took that even to Alka-Seltzer, which, why would you want to? But I tried Alka-Seltzer and I was like, this tastes
Wait,
terrible.
did
Like,
you take the thing and the tablet and put it on your tongue and let it like?
no,
burst
the
and,
stuff in the water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I would take the water with the Alka-Seltzer and put it in my mouth and like let it sit in my mouth until I was like, can't taste it, and then I would swallow it,
Mhm.
and then I was like, okay, Alka-Seltzer's not so bad anymore. But-
Interesting.
Yeah,
Hey, foods and tastes.
foods and tastes.
What
Yep,
fun.
it is to ride the soaring sleigh tonight. I don't know. Too much Christmas.
Oh yeah, Merry
Um,
Christmas, everybody! It is
Merry
still Christmas, by
Christmas,
the way.
Happy New Year. I see Marhandi's here. Too bad though, because we're gonna close it down. Marhandi, we have one from you, so hopefully next Wednesday you can show up.
Mhm.
We can have you a little bit earlier. If not, it's fine. We understand everyone's got stuff to do, but we do have one for you, so hopefully we can get to it next time. It'd be really cool.
Mhm.
But thank you all so much for joining us for this Don't Worry Wednesday. We're happy to have you, and we hope you had a good time. I know that we did. Also, as Princess just said, 2021 is now in full effect, and so we are running a 21% off sale at our store. So feel free to go there. Princess, thanks for advertising for us, even though you don't make money.
Yes.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank
Thank you. It gives me more things to do, like shipping stuff to people, which
Yeah.
which I enjoy doing. I enjoy writing the word box on the boxes. I
Yes.
enjoy all of that, and I enjoy the looks I get at the post office when I drop them off.
Yeah, they're like, "Wait, a box on their box." We know their box. They know their box. What? Who doesn't know this is the box? Why are you labeling it?
Yes.
Also, Pear, I don't know if you're here or not, but happy birthday once again. I hope you enjoy your read through the Criminal Idol book. It's really
Mhm.
good.
Yes, it is good.
And but yeah, thanks all of you for being here. And any closing comments from you, Joe?
You guys are awesome. I love
Yeah.
you.
Perfect.
I love you.
too.
Love you.
I
And
love
I'm
you. Love
so-
you too.
I'm so glad we made it to 2021, and I'm looking forward to this being an awesome year with all of you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, Yep.
Nice.
Next
Absolutely.
week's gonna be amazing. I can feel it. And I'm a
Calling in the air,
hippopotamus, I like my noodles on my back, noodles on my back, noodles on my back.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I remember it. I remember it. Yep, I remember it now. All right. See you guys. We love you.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye. Peace.